Good morning, friends. How we doing? Awesome. Okay. So, my name is Lisa Pavia-Hegel. I'm your liturgist today. And you'll see that I'm alone here up on the pulpit, but I'm not. Because our guest speaker is coming to us from as far away as I think, and y'all who've been here for a long time can tell me, as far away as we've ever had. Because she's joining us from Portugal, which is pretty cool. Is that the farthest away? Okay, cool. Just checking. I figured, but you know. Huh? You know what they say about assumptions. So, but here's the thing. Our AV team has been working really hard because what we did, because of the time difference and the technology, is that Reverend Beltane recorded all of her pieces through YouTube, which means that we're going to be switching back and forth between our normal, some of the things that you normally see up here and YouTube, which means that sometimes our transitions are going to take a little bit longer, and we are going to, all of us, exercise the beautiful Unitarian Universalist virtues of flexibility and patience, right? And then we are also going to give Ken and Adam and Em, our AV people, all of the love that they deserve, because they work so hard every week to bring the service to us, both for our friends in person and for our friends joining virtually. So again, thank you to them, and thank you for your kindness and patience this morning. As I said, my name is Lisa Pavia-Hegel. My pronouns are she, her. And joining us will be our guest speaker, Reverend Amy Beltane, who also utilizes she, her. And we are very happy to welcome you to Eliot Chapel. Also joining us is Kathy Bruntz and Yvonne Serbel, and you guys, yay, who are here for our lovely and fantastic guests. And Carl Serbel. It's the Serbel Show today. He is our pastoral care associate if something is weighing on your heart. If you have young children today and they're going to stay with you throughout the service, if they get restless, please feel free to take them over to Fellowship Hall where there is a live stream of the service and they can run all they want. Now, I invite you, as you are able and as you wish, to join me in the welcome statement by saying you are welcome here at the end of each phrase. If you are an immigrant, a refugee, or a person without documentation, you are welcome here. If you are black, brown, white, indigenous, APIA, whatever your origins, you are welcome here. If you are black, oh, sorry, I already said that, but you're also welcome again. If you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. If you have a disability, visible or invisible, or if you are neurodiverse, you are welcome here. If you have been here 100 times, or this is your very first day, you are welcome here. If you want for nothing, or if every day is a struggle, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or what your gender identity, you are welcome here. For this is a community of diversity and of love and of justice, and it is good to be together. Let us enter into our spirit of worship. Okay. This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hand. And now, Reverend Beltane would like to call us into the circle of love and justice before our opening hymn.
Good morning, beloved community. We are gathered here today near the banks of the Mississippi, among the green, forested hills, at the source of the railroad and as neighbors to the Cahokia Mounds. Today we gather in the spirit of living love as a verb, to reflect on the power of stories of courage, justice, and transformation. They connect us across time and space, fueling our dreams and sustaining us in the work of building a better world. As we explore revolutions that restored democracy and movements that reconstructed societies from the ashes of injustice, may these stories remind us that another world is possible, and it begins with us. Come into the circle of love and justice. Come, let us grow together. Come, let us worship together.
Now please rise in body and or spirit for our opening hymn, Wake Now My Senses, number 298. Before we play Amy's wisdom story for our young and young at heart, if you have car keys or keys of any kind, we are going to need them during the story, so please fish those out. And children, to say so that you can see the screen more easily, we're going to have you stay with your persons today. And I think whenever you're ready, we can play that wisdom story. Oh, we forgot to do the congregational covenant. It's the morning. Okay, let's do that first. But you can get your keys out, that's fine. In Unitarian Universalism, our covenants are the agreements we make between us for how love becomes real. So please join with me in reading our congregational covenant. As a free congregation, we promise to one another our mutual trust and support. To create a beloved community, we promise to be kinder to each other than we have to be. To listen fully to each other with an open mind and heart. To speak responsibly and respectfully, and to find ways to improve our church for all our members and friends. Now we're going to do the wisdom story.
For today's story, I invite you to find something that will jingle. Maybe keys, maybe coins, maybe there's something else you have with you. And have it close, we'll use it during the story. About 35 years ago, far away in a country called Czechoslovakia, the people lived under very strict rules, and this had been going on for 40 years. There was one big leader and his friends, and they made all the rules for everyone. They were a bunch of bullies. Now this made life very hard, especially for families and children. Imagine not being able to vote to change who was in charge. Being told you couldn't dress how you liked. Often not having enough to eat. Not being allowed to travel. And guess what? Most kids didn't even get to watch their favorite TV shows. Everything that was on TV was politics. Ew. Can you imagine that? The people felt trapped. And if someone said something, if the leaders didn't like it, secret police would take them away. It was a scary time. But then something happened. One cold day in November 17, 1989, some college students gathered in the capital city. The city is called Prague. So they gathered in Prague. They didn't want to fight. They just wanted to ask for more freedom. They wanted to speak, to learn, and to live without fear. Guess what? The police came, and they tried to stop them. Oh no. Should the students give up? No, they didn't give up. The students were brave, and their courage inspired the whole country. More and more people came and joined them. The streets were filled with moms and dads, grandparents, and even little kids. And they found peaceful ways to send a message to the strict leaders. Do you know what they did? They shook their keys. Want to do that with me? Let's shake our keys. We're sending a message. Those jingling keys were their way of saying, it's time. It's time for a new beginning. It's time for freedom. And the sound of all those keys jingling together was powerful. So powerful that the leaders stepped down without a fight. This peaceful change became known as the Velvet Revolution. It was smooth. And then, after that, people could finally speak freely, choose their leaders, and live without fear. Every year, they remember this amazing moment by jingling their keys again, just like we're doing now. This story teaches us. It teaches us that even when times are hard, people can come together with bravery and with peace to make the world better. So remember, a little courage, some kindness, and teamwork can make a big difference. So what do we do when a bully tries to tell us or our friends what to do? Yep, that's right. We want our freedom. Let's jingle our keys to celebrate freedom and remind each other to always show up for what is right.
And now, let's jingle our keys and send our kids off to their classes as we sing. David has the best key jingling. And now we'll have our prayer again from Reverend.
I invite you to enter into that quiet and spacious time that some call meditation and some call prayer. Spirit of life, of love, still small voice within. Power of earth, air, fire, and water, we call upon you. Be with us now. Since November, and let's face it, longer than that, I've been horrified, terrified, and sad by turns whenever I turn on the news, and it's hard to turn it off. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King lived through such times, and there are persistent stories that he advised. When the work you are doing becomes more than you can bear, as you become more busy and more overwhelmed, that is the time when you need to double the time you spend in spiritual practice. So I'd like to offer to you one of my spiritual practices. If it fits for you, it is now yours. If not, I hope you find something that does fit for you. This chant was taught to me by a Buddhist nun, modified by a Sufi teacher, and I was encouraged to use it by my Catholic spiritual director. I invite you to sing it with me now. Let us call upon mercy. O beloved of the world, who comes to us as mercy, we honor you, we honor you, we honor you. We call on your name. For all the tender, loving hearts that are breaking, whether your heart is pierced through for the climate chaos visiting devastation, whether your compassion is fatigued by witnessing hate and fear in politics and on the streets, whether your resilience is tried by the small and large failures, losses, and pain in your community, friends, family, we need each other. We need to lean on the spirit of life, divine love, luminous love light of the all universe. Let us call upon compassion. O beloved of the world, who comes to us as compassion, we honor you, we honor you, we honor you. We call on your name. We lift up and celebrate the joy and the beauty that is still in this world, the simple pleasures of good food eaten with loved ones, music, a rainbow, new babies, one mind turned toward peace, one pair of hands working for justice. Let us call upon love. Oh, great lover of the world, who comes to us as love, we honor you, we honor you, we honor you. We call on your us now enter into a time of silence to make space for the prayers and meditations of our hearts. Now I invite us all to speak the names of those we hold in prayer. Let us enter into blessing. Pagans often enter prayers with "so mote it be," which is close in meaning to the endings used in other religions. In ASL, Muslim, Amin, Hindu, Shanti, Tibetan Buddhism, Suha, Yoruba, and members of the African diaspora, Ashe, Osage, Gagona, Christian, Amen, and blessed be.
And now let's remain seated for our meditative hymn, Once to Every Soul and Nation, number 119. Every week, we give half of our offering to an organization in the community that lives our core values. This month, our shared plate partner is the Meacham Park Neighborhood Improvement Association. And now I am very pleased to invite the president of that association, Ms. Harriet Patton, to come up and tell us a little more about what the work this organization does in the community.
I first want to say good morning.
Good morning.
I was one of the early birds here at 9 o'clock. How you like that? Eliot Chapel members, I want to let you know that you have been very important in our lives. I am very pleased to greet you this morning as the president of Meacham Park Neighborhood Improvement Association for more than 30 plus years. People ask me why I continue to serve the community. Of course, I have an answer for them. I will share it with you. To continue to serve the community is my blessing from God. It's my blessing from God, serving. Because as a little girl growing up in Meacham Park community, I remember the many volunteers who guided me, such as my Sunday school teacher. I loved Sunday school. I was early to that. I love Sunday school. Then my Girl Scout leader, I had to learn the pledge, and she let me say the pledge. I loved it. Then I had another tutor that taught me to read and write, and her name was Miss Jones. And these three people have been very influential in my life, but they've since passed away. But I'm glad to say they all served our community very well. And since they passed away, I have said to myself, do what you can do and do it like they told you. They said to me, I remember these stories being told, said, they inspired me to give back. I recall them saying to me, always give the best of your service. Can you repeat that? Always give the best of your service. As a little girl, I was taught that, and I still live by that. As a president of MNIA, our not-for-profit organization, we highlight all of these goals and objectives. Shadowing these concepts have influenced the longevity and the existence of the organization. Meacham Park Neighborhood Improvement Organization, whose annual events include 1, the Martin Luther King, we do that yearly, STEM, science, technology, and math. We do Adopt a Family. Every year we adopt up to 30 families in the neighborhood. We give scholarships to the African American boys and girls who have achieved a 3.3 or better. And we had some students who have achieved a 4.0. We're very proud of success. The last, what we do, the year-end celebration. We all come together at the year-end and celebrate. In closing, may I leave this message with you. MNIA value and appreciate Eliot Chapel for all the many years of service, of community service you have shared with us. I know we've been knowing you for more than 20 years. Our boys and girls used to come over here to your youth program, and we had some more people from your church that come to Meacham Park and say, I'm extending a helping hand to serve. So, with that being said, the many years of its community service, which has been very helpful, I especially want to acknowledge the entire congregation for their positive contributions down through the many years. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
So you're welcome to donate either through our plate or online. We have QR codes in all the places. And it's in your order of service and on the screen. And let us be a very generous people. And thank you for being with us. Ms. Patton. Please join me in dedicating this offering to the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action. We dedicate our lives, and these are our offerings. Our reading today comes from the Litany for Conscious Anger, adapted from Fran Pratt. Spirit of life and love, so many of us go around with anger simmering right under the surface of our emotions. We think we've been wronged, we've been traumatized, we've been duped. There is injustice. There are broken systems. We can be angry with ourselves, and we can be angry with others. And sometimes we can't understand what you're doing, and so we're angry with you. We feel you've forgotten us. We feel like the world is falling to pieces around us, and you have failed us. Our anger can be a useful tool that propels us toward right action. It can fuel our good works and cause us to change. But sometimes our anger doesn't find its proper place. It burrows down and it festers, causing us more pain than the wound did to begin with, and its effects seep out sideways. Oh, great love, teach us to deal rightly with anger, to funnel its energy properly, to release it at the appropriate time and place, and to protect ourselves from anger gone bad. Teach us how to fight anger with anger. Teach us how not to fight anger with anger. It's important. That was a big distinction. Thank you, dyslexia. But to be peacemakers and lovers, reflecting the image of love itself, and covered in grace. May it be so. Amen.
There is an old saying, the universe is made of stories, not atoms. Stories are the threads that weave together our collective understanding of who we are and who we can become. They shape our moral imagination, inspire our actions, and sustain us in the long, hard work of change. Stories from history remind us of what is possible. Songs inspire and inform. Moral tales teach. Biographies remind us we're not alone. And fiction helps us imagine. Stories have power. For many of us, the challenges of our time, the erosion of democracy, climate chaos, rising inequality, may feel unprecedented, yet history is full of examples of individuals and communities rising to meet immense challenges. Our ancestors and the people who lived on the land we now call home confronted injustice, overcame adversity, and fought for a more just and equitable world. When my husband was in school, he learned about the Holocaust and asked his mother, why didn't they leave? Why didn't they go before it got so bad? That question stayed with him and with me. 8 years ago, we began asking ourselves the same thing as the tides of hatred and division rose around us. Eventually, we made the decision to leave the U.S. for Portugal. Now, nearly 5 years later, I can look back and recognize how prioritizing safety, especially for him as a trans man and for me as someone with chronic illness, was an act of courage and love. This is what I want to tell those among us who carry additional burdens. Those who are transgender, chronically ill or disabled, undocumented, or facing systemic marginalization. If you are able, prioritize your safety and well-being. There's no obligation to risk your life in the fight for justice and love. That's what the rest of us are here for. When you are at risk of drowning, put on your own life jacket, and then you can help others. We need each one of us to survive. We all have stories of our own personal survival, of our ancestors, and of the land we call home. And stories can be transformative and life-saving. Take, for example, our congregation's building is a sanctuary. Immigration officers may have the legal right now to enter a hospital, a school, or a church, but our Unitarian Universalist faith is grounded in justice and equality. We can raise our voices and tell the moral story. What is moral and right? If they know that we will share the story of violating a sacred space, it might change their actions. Whether today's fear, outrage, and anxiety is new to you, or you've been doing this work since your mama explained what the words racism, sexism, colonizing, and homophobia meant, we learn from stories. These days, I find myself leaning into my Slovak roots and embracing the history of my adopted home, Portugal, by learning about how both nations overthrew oppressive regimes. Last year, I was leaving the little village of Silves, crossing the bridge with the old Moorish castle in my rearview mirror. The bridge was decorated with little red flowers, crocheted carnations. I realized the flowers celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Carnation Revolution, a peaceful uprising that overthrew decades of dictatorship in Portugal. The Carnation Revolution of 1974 is a powerful example of collective action's ability to bring about transformation. After years of repression under the Estado Novo regime, the Portuguese people rose up. Life under Estado Novo, new state, established by Antonio Salazar in 1933, was austere and harsh. People who spoke out against the regime often disappeared, and mandatory military service sent countless young men to fight unwinnable colonial wars. The revolution was sparked in part by military officers who were opposed to the regime's brutal colonial wars, but it became a civilian movement. First, the brave ones chose, then more folks were able to be brave, and people poured into the streets, placing carnations in the barrels of soldiers' guns as a symbol of peace. Remarkably, the regime fell without bloodshed. was replaced by provisional government, and that ushered in democracy. The lyrics of songs are transformative stories as well. The revolution's spirit was captured in the song Grandola, Villa Morena by Jose Afonso. Played as a signal to start the uprising, its lyrics, Grandola, Villa Morena, Terra de Fertilidad, is Grandola, the village, dark village, land of brotherhood, this embodied the ideals of freedom, unity, and fraternity. There's a warning in the Salazar regime. He was an economist and bureaucrat who was elected, but Prime Minister Salazar's reforms turned into 40 years of repressive totalitarianism. There is also hope. In the end, truth, courage, compassion, and vision won. The Portuguese people remember and say, never again. The Carnation Revolution reminds us that peaceful resistance, joy, and solidarity can bloom even in the face of oppression. The Velvet Revolution is another example of the power of peaceful resistance. In 1989, when my son was just 3, Czechoslovakia saw its dreams of freedom and democracy realized. Playwright and activist Václav Havel encouraged individuals to live in truth by rejecting the lies of the totalitarian state and reclaiming authenticity. His plays made fun of the regime. He defended a rock band that was imprisoned because their hair was long and also because of their lyrics, and he ended up in jail occasionally himself. But he persevered. In every soul and nation comes a time to decide if you will seek truth or falsehood. The people of Czechoslovakia chose to live in truth. The name Velvet Revolution reflects the smooth and nonviolent transition of power. Millions gathered together to peacefully end decades of Soviet rule, armed only with their voices, their keys, and their shared vision for a community transformed by care. The Velvet Revolution teaches us that change does not always require violence. It can arise from trust, poetry, and collective action. As Václav Havel wrote, "We never decided to become dissidents. We have been transformed into them without quite knowing how. Sometimes we have ended up in prison without precisely knowing how. We simply went ahead and did certain things that we felt we ought to do and that seemed to us decent to do. Nothing more nor less." Stories sustain us in times of upheaval. They remind us that ordinary people, daring to dream of a better world, have faced impossible odds and prevailed. Stories of hard times and hard work share a common thread. They inspire courage, resilience, and action. Let us remain faithful to the work that must be done. When the challenges we face, climate chaos, inequality, systemic racism, feel overwhelming, stories whisper to us, "You are not alone. Others have traveled this path before you, and you can too." In the words of Unitarian minister Theodore Parker, later paraphrased by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." And I like to add, so we want to grab hold of the end of it and pull. That phrase itself has become a story, a reminder that while justice may take time, it is always worth striving for. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called to build the world we dream of, a world of love and justice. This work requires vision, action, and the spiritual sustenance that stories provide. When we tell the stories of the women's suffrage movement, the civil rights movement, and the ongoing fight for LGBTQIA+ equality, we honor the resilience of those who refuse to let injustice have the final word. These stories teach us that change may be slow, but it is possible, and it is worth fighting for. Many of these stories are stories of anger, but they are also stories where that righteous anger was used as fuel to empower and persevere. The women of the suffrage movement fought tirelessly for the right to vote, facing ridicule and violence. In 1920, 72 years after the Seneca Falls Convention, the United States finally passed the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. Of the 68 women who signed the Declaration of Sentiments at Seneca Falls in 1848, only one, Charlotte Woodward Pierce, lived to celebrate that day. This story reminds us that change often happens incrementally, but that persistent effort can ultimately bring about profound transformation. The civil rights movement in the United States offers another powerful example. Figures like Rosa Parks, Ruby Bridges, and countless others were brave in the face of fear to mobilize communities and inspire a nation. If you haven't read Ruby Bridges' autobiography yet, I recommend it. Her story is painful and inspiring, partly because of the commitment she and her parents must have had to send a little girl into danger by simply sending her to school. What a commitment to the future of all children. And partially because it was so recent. Ruby Bridges just turned 70 this year. Their courage and unwavering commitment to justice remind us that even in the face of immense opposition, justice can prevail. The LGBTQIA+ rights movement, from the elders of the Mattachine Society and Daughters of Eliot, who paved the way, to the trans activists from the Stonewall Riot, such as Marsha Pay It No Mind Johnson, to brave activists today wrestling basic human rights onto the books through ongoing struggles for equality. When I went door to door for marriage equality, I learned that data didn't move people. Stories did. Personal stories, challenging societal norms, breaking down stereotypes, and inspiring countless individuals to live authentically. And joy. The joy of drag queens and pride parades reminds us that joy is a critical part of our work. The story of struggle reminds us that our diversity is strength. The climate justice movement, led by young people like Greta Thunberg and indigenous communities like the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, is another example of storytelling's power. These individuals share their lived experiences of the devastating impacts of climate chaos, inspiring action and demanding a more sustainable future. They lift up their voices in song, story, and truth. They remind us that we are interdependent across generations and with the web of all life. Each story is not just about challenges, it's also about the determination and resilience of communities working together to create a more just and equitable future for all. We must listen to the voices of those who have lived under marginalization and threat of violence. They already know how to survive and even thrive when the world feels dangerous. Stories of real people being brave or just doing the things they felt they ought to do or what seemed decent to do can sustain us. So can fiction. One of my favorites is The Lord of the Rings, the story of a small hobbit carrying a ring through dangers, finding friends, and in the end, saving the world by being small and faithful to the task given to him. At one point, he's speaking with the wise and powerful wizard, Gandalf. "I wish it need not have happened in my time," said Frodo. "So do I," said Gandalf, "and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us." What sustains people through times of great upheaval? Stories of ordinary people daring to persist, dream, and act. Stories that remind us we are a part of something greater than ourselves. When we feel overwhelmed, we can turn to these stories for strength. They tell us, you are not alone. Others have faced similar struggles and found their way forward. Stories are the lifeblood of our shared humanity. They help us remember who we are and imagine who we can become. This week, I invite you to reflect on a story that inspires you. It could be from history, a loved one, your own life, fiction. Share it with someone and listen to their story in return. Together, let us weave a tapestry of solidarity, perseverance, and action. Let us stay faithful to the work before us and stay grounded in the power of our shared stories.
Now we're going to sing our closing hymn, number 368. Now let us sing. Please rise in body or spirit as you are able, or both, whichever works.
Good morning. Those of you who have hymnals will notice that this is a two-part song. Those of us who are using these slides will notice that only one of the parts is on the slide. If you choose to sing the melody, which is on the top staff of the hymnal and on the slides, you are following me. If you have a hymnal and you would like to follow the bass, you would like to sing the bass line, please follow Jennifer.
With us. Please join us for coffee hour, and if you take a blue cup, we'll make sure that you are warmly welcomed. There are guest forms on your way out and on the QR code on the screen, and we can stay in touch in a broad number of ways. Our online coffee hour is at 1:30. Now, please join with me in extinguishing our chalice, and then remain standing. We'll have two benedictions, one from Reverend Amy, and then our usual ending ritual. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of our heart, our fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Let us leave today with a renewed commitment to the power of story. May we tell the stories of those who have come before us, drawing strength from their courage. May we live our own stories with integrity and purpose. knowing that they will sustain others who follow us. And may we continue to dream of the world we long to see, knowing that with each choice we make, we are helping to bring it into being. Blessed be, and may it be so.
Life hold you, may love bless you, and may joy find a place in your days. Go in peace, and give one final round of applause for every single volunteer that makes this service happen on a weekly basis. Thank you so much.